Limpopo Premier Stan Mathabatha says he's concerned about the rapid increase of COVID-19 cases in the province. The province has over 9,000 active cases. Funerals have attributed to the rise of these statistics, with the Health MEC also concerned about the illegal parties happening at private lodges. Newzroom Afrika's Bilani Pakhadi is in Polokwane for us live. Bilani, a very good morning to you. The province only accounted for 1% of the national coronavirus cases since the outbreak last year. Now that seems to have all changed.
Well, things have seemed to have changed now with the 9,000 active cases that you've talked about. Capricorn district that we are currently in now accounts to the majority of the cases that the province is experiencing, with Vembe right there at the just next to the Capricorn district. And that gives you an indication that even the villages, the most rural villages, are also experiencing the rapid increase. And one of the places that we are told seems to be super spreaders is funerals. We are in Moleti, Mahodu, just outside Polokwane. I'm just going to ask Lesotho to show you what we just experienced just a short while ago. There were family members, I would assume, who were here to bury their loved ones, very much obedient to the health protocols. There were very few people that we have seen, and now, as you can see, they are packing up, seemingly adhering to the health protocols that are outlined by the health ministry, and as well as the calls by the Premier Stan Mathabatha that the people in the area should ensure that when they are attending funerals, they are always protecting themselves and protecting those who are with them. And there are a lot of concerns, and that the Transport and Community Safety Department have been raising in the last few weeks. And to give us more details around that, I'm joined by Mike Maringa, who's the spokesperson to the Community Safety Department. Maringa, thank you very much for joining us. It's unfortunate that I brought you to a cemetery here today, but this is one of the areas we are told across the province being a concern, not only for your MEC but for the province as a whole.
Good morning to Pilani, and let's also greet the viewers at home. It's indeed concerning that Capricorn is leading with the number of COVID cases in the province, but we should also say that funerals have been a serious headache, because you'll remember when the president addressed the nation, he indicated that people who are attending the funeral cannot be more than 50, but it will appear as if people in the villages are not heeding to that call, because they've got a general practice of supporting the families that have lost their loved ones. They go there in numbers during the week. They also want to attend the funeral in numbers on weekends. Fortunately, now we are burying every day. It's no longer reserved for weekend. So it has been a concern, because Pilani, you'll expect people to adhere to the protocols, social distancing, sanitizing and all that, but that cannot happen if the number is above what the NCCC has advised. So we have seen in the villages at most, the families are not restricting the number to the 50 that it's required. They go above, sometimes it's triple the number. So we are making a call to the families to say, if they've got funerals, they must see to it that they restrict the number to 50. They should be able to inform their relatives and also the villagers that they are happy about their support, but at the day of the funeral, they should allow the families to bury in private.
Very in private indeed. And Mike, some of the people who come to these kind of events use taxis, and we've seen in recent days reports that the taxi rank in Polokwane might be an event of a super spreader, where we are told a number of taxi owners had died because of the COVID-19 complications. Is it a concern currently that such taxi ranks are also events of super spreaders?
It's indeed a concern, because when the report came to our attention, the MEC for Transport and Community Safety, Mayor Mavungulu Ramakhanya, immediately activated a team to look into these taxi ranks. And I can confirm to you that as from next week, Tuesday, she'll be going around. She'll do at least 3 districts whereby she'll fumigate 2 if not 3 ranks per day, starting in Mopani, going to Vembe, and coming back coming to Capricorn, and she will finish in Vembe, and we'll see the other district in the coming week. It's indeed concerning when the reports are saying that taxi owners, taxi drivers are testing positive. It leaves the majority of our people who rely on public transport vulnerable, because at most when we stop these taxis at the roadblocks, you'll find that 1 or 2 drivers are without sanitizers, and you'll also understand that at lockdown level 3, local taxis are still carrying full capacity, so people are still you cannot have social distancing in the taxi. All we are asking for is for them to wear their mask, to make sure that they sanitize at all times, and also to stay away if they don't need to be in that taxi, because that's one important thing. People have got a habit of just taking a taxi to town because that's what they are used to. They normally they are bored at home, so the only place where they get to socialize and see other people is when they are in town or in the city. I think it's a tradition or a practice that they need to do away with, because we are facing a very serious challenge of this invisible enemy. And Pilani, it is now hitting home, because in the past we were talking about numbers in China, numbers in Europe and everywhere. We are no longer talking about numbers. We are talking about our next of kin. We are talking about a cousin. One is talking about a parent, someone you know on your street. So people are dying, and we are hoping that it will be a wake-up call for people to lock themselves in their yards when it is not necessary to go out.
Mike Maringa there, speaking on behalf of the Transport and Community Safety MEC here in the province, and literally saying that if it is not necessary for you to leave your home or leave where you are, your place of residence basically, please try not to do so, because currently the numbers in Limpopo are on a rise, and a high rise, particularly giving that reason to the earlier migration that we've seen in December, people coming to their home province or even visiting friends and family during those times. We've seen festivities, we've seen weddings, and we've also seen quite a number of funerals being attended to. And unfortunately, those particular activities are now coming through to haunt the people of Limpopo, with the numbers uncontrollably being high. 1,800 beds are currently left in the province, we are told, in the health facilities, out of the 8,000 capacity for COVID-19 admissions. So that is giving you an indication that the health facilities are also being strained, and they can only do one thing currently with the current lockdown regulation, is that they made a call, the Premier himself, the MEC herself made a call, a clarion call, that people, please don't go to funerals unless it is completely necessary for you to do so, and you will not die if you don't go and attend a funeral. Mpho?
Pilani, let's talk about some of the challenges when it comes to this new custom now, and how South Africans, cultured South Africans, are having to adapt to the no longer gathering before the burial, or bathing and dressing up a deceased loved one, which are practices that have been done away with COVID-19 being such a deadly virus.
Well, Mpho, I mean, we've told when we drive around with our branded car, it is always, we are almost very much existent and present. People would be able to point at us. And one of the key things that they do when they come to our vehicle is that they tell us that they feel that they've been stripped with their inherent right to say goodbye to their loved ones. And all they want is regulations to be changed so that they can be able to bath their loved ones. But we all know that if the current regulations and with the current situation, that really in itself is completely unnecessary, as you might be contracting the virus in itself. And people have also been called on to ensure that the funeral services in themselves during the course of the week, they only allow people who come into their homes in groups, and there must always be social distancing. So they've been telling us that it so seems that their customs are not being really adhered to. But at this point, there's just a point of analysis as to whether you adhere to customs or really you continue spreading the coronavirus in itself, which we see currently that is very much predominant in young people. And we are told the statistics, particularly here in Limpopo, from the PCC in itself, that scientists advise the committee that that people between the ages of 30 and 39 have been succumbing to the coronavirus in recent days. So it is no longer that issue around older people being the ones who are more susceptible to be getting the disease, but young people themselves are not only carriers but are also succumbing to the disease. So you can imagine that the age group that we are in currently, it is no longer as safe just to say, well, I think I feel quite healthy, therefore, and still young, and I will not be contracting the virus, and I may not even succumb if that happens. So the Premier himself, Stan Mathabatha, had made that clarion call on Thursday at the media briefing of the Provincial Command Council that there has to be strict protocols at all times, including at families, and really don't come through to advise or even to accept relatives coming through in their numbers. The EFF leader had a press briefing also on Thursday, where he also talked generally about relatives who tend to be ignoring health protocols and visiting people, particularly in the villages. And that has been also made a call, adding already into the government calls that only go to where you are supposed to and when it is completely necessary, so that you can avoid all these necessary numbers that is completely going up. In a rural province where health facilities are a challenge, particularly in areas such as Vembe, Mopani and Sekhukhune. So, and the numbers in those areas are currently on the rise. So that is, of course, the call here in Limpopo from the government that when attending funerals as well, please do so in your limited numbers, 50 to be exact, including all the families, so that there is limited chances of the coronavirus being spread around the country, if not only the villages themselves.
Very well. Let's leave it there for now. We will continue to bring you the very latest developments coming out of Limpopo. Our reporter, Belani Pachadi, giving us a sense of the impact of COVID-19 in that province.